So question number 1. You need to write 0.3 as a fraction. You need to write 0.3 as a fraction. So the first thing we're going to do is that we can see that 3 is in our 10th column. The 10th column. The 10th column. Okay? That means that's going to be 3 over 10. That's an easy one marker. 3 over 10. Well done for getting that. Now, we need to work out 3 to the power of 2. 3 to the power of 2 is 3 times 3. 3 times 3, which is equal to a 9. Work out 20 divided by 3 in brackets 3 plus 2. So we're going to be doing BIDMAS first. So we're going to be doing the BIDMAS, the rule operations. It's going to do 3 plus 2, 5. 20 divided by 5 is equal to 4. Okay? Going to be 4 for that one. And lastly, we need to write down a factor of 60 that is between 8 and 14. Factor of 60 that is between 8 and 40. So you can list them out. So it's going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 10. So 12 and 10 are between 8 and 14, which are factors of 60. So you can put either 12 or 10. I'm going to go with 10. Okay? I'm going to go with 10. So the first page of the exam is always easy. So always aim to complete your first page within 2 minutes, so that you can have more time for the other harder questions in your exam paper. Okay? So spend about 30 seconds on each question, and then you can finish it in 22 minutes. So let's move on to our next question. Simplify 3 times W times 5 times T. So first of all, we're going to do 3 times it by 5. 3 times 5 is 15. And then we're going to do W times by T. So they're going to be just together. So W times T. They're going to be combined together. And we are going to get 15WT. Like that. Do I have a YouTube channel? Yes, I do. The link is in the bio. I post the lives on there. So, question number 6. Faye is planning a trip to a theme park for 1 adult and 2 children. These are the costs for the trips. The total cost of petrol is £23. Tickets to the theme park is £33 each adult, £24.50 each child. Meals is £15 each adult and £10 each child. Faye has £200 to spend. She pays all the cost. How much money does she have left? So the first thing we know is that there's going to be 1 adult and 2 children. So it's going to be £33 first of all. It's going to be £33 and then 2 children for the theme park tickets. £33 plus £24.50 plus £24.50. So £24.50 times it by 2 children, you would get £49 for that one. And then you would do 15 for the adult. And then you do 10 times 2 children, that'll be £20. £20 and then £49. And then the cost of the petrol is going to be £23. And then you would add them together. So you do 3 plus 5 plus 0, 8, 17, and 20. Carry the 2. 3 plus 1, 4, plus 2, 6, 10, 12, and 14. So total cost is going to be £140. But then Faye has £200 to spend. So we have to calculate how much money she has left. So we're going to do 200 minus 140. 200 minus 140, you would get £60 left. And that is going to be answer to your 4 marker, £60. So let's move on to our next question. Here is a list of 8 letters. write down the mode. So first of all, in the chat, tell me what is the mode of this list of 8 letters. What is the mode? What is the mode? So the mode is the most common thing, most frequent or most common thing. So what is going to be the most common in this list? It's going to be the letter A. Letter A, well done. Letter A. So one of the 8 letters is going to be picked at random. On the probability scale, mark with a cross the probability that this letter will be a B. So the first thing we know is that the total number of letters is 8, right? Total number of letters is 8. And then there are 2 B's in the list. It's going to be 2 out of 8. So then we are going to simplify this to 1/4. Now we have to mark a quarter on this timeline. A quarter on this timeline is half a half. So that's going to be over here. Now, for this question, find the probability that this letter will be a C. So we know that there's total of 8 letters in total. So the denominator will be 8, and then there's only one C that's going to be 1 as the numerator. So that is going to be our probability. So question number 8. Solve m minus 3 is equal to 4. So what is the value of m, guys? What's the value of m? M minus 3 is equal to 4. That's an easy one. This is foundation for today. I'm doing foundation today, guys. It's equal to 7. So to work it out, you would add 3 on both sides, and then you get m is equal to 7. Now, for the next one, B. Solve 3n plus n is equal to 24. So what would be the value of n? So first thing you would do is that you can simplify this, right? 3n plus n. You can simplify 3n plus n to 4n, which is equal to 24. 4n plus is equal to 24. Then you would divide by 4 on both sides, and then you will get n is equal to 6. N is equal to 6. Like that. So guys, before I move on to my next question, don't forget to follow as I do live every single day. You don't want to miss it out, and help me reach my live goal. So let's move on to our next question. Question number 9. Find the value of y. Find the value of y. So before we continue, we need to know what rule we are going to be using. So we know that angles around a point add up to 360 degrees. So angles around a point add to 360 degrees. That's the rule you need to know to answer this question. So what we are going to do is that we are going to do 360 minus 70. You would get 290 degrees. And that will be your answer, 290 degrees. So give a reason for your answer. I literally wrote the reason up there. That is our reason there. Okay, angles around the point add up to 360 degrees. Okay, that's the number 1 rule. If you do not know that rule, you need to learn that, because that is like the building block of angles. Okay, so are you ready? So let's move on to question number 10. A shop sells jars of coffee. Each jar of coffee costs £4. Michael has £23. Work out the greatest number of jars of coffee Michael can buy. The greatest number of jars Michael can buy. So, the greatest number of bars, what we're going to do is that first we know that if we do 4 times 5, this is going to be £20, right? £20. But then if we do 4 times 6, this will be £24. That means Michael only has £23, so he only has enough to get 5 jars. The answer is going to be 5 jars. So, part B is in a sale on Wednesday, jars of coffee are sold at half price. Michael thinks that he can now buy exactly twice the number of jars of coffee for £23. Is Michael correct? So the first thing we're going to do is that we know that the number of each jar will cost £2 now, because the jars of coffee are sold at half price. So we know that each jar of coffee will cost £2 now. So £2 per jar. Then we know that we have to do 23 divided by 2. You know that he will only be able to buy 11 jars. And then, is 11 half of 5? So if we do 5 times 2, will we get 11? No, it is not twice the number. He is incorrect. He is incorrect. He is incorrect. Okay? Because 11 is not doubled 5. It's not twice as 5, okay? If I'm saying that correct. So let's move on to our next question. Question number 11. Here are 2 triangles on a grid. Triangle B is an enlargement of triangle A. Write down the scale factor of the enlargement. So this is a centimeter grid, so we can actually know what we are doing. So first of all, we know that this length is 3. 3, okay? This is 3. And then we know that this is 6 boxes wide. 6. So then what would be the scale factor of the enlargement? Tell me in the chat. What's going to be the scale factor of this enlargement from A to B? If this is 3 and then this is 6. Be careful. 3 to 6. What is going to be the scale factor? Yeah, it's going to be 2. 2. Because you're doing 3, you're multiplying it by 2 to get to 6, okay? Now, on the grid, you need to mark with a cross the center of enlargement. The center of enlargement. So to work out the center of enlargement is what we do is that we get like a pencil, and then you draw with a ruler a line going through the points like this. And then you do it with all of the lines, and it should, and then they all should meet at like the same point. They will meet at the same point at one point. And then as you can see, they all meet at this point right here, if I did it correct. And then you can mark with a cross like that. Now, if you were doing it, you would do it with a ruler. You would do it with the ruler, and then you will see which when these 3 points intersect each other at a point, okay? So here are 2 parallelograms on a coordinate grid, okay? Here are 2 parallelograms on a coordinate grid. Parallelogram D is a reflection of parallelogram C. On the grid, draw the mirror line. Draw the mirror line. So the mirror line is going to be over here like this. Like that. It's going to be going through the origin point, okay? So if this line is going through the origin point, what is going to be the equation of the mirror line? What is the equation of the mirror line if this line is it intersects with the origin point? What will it be? In the chat, tell me. This is Edexcel, guys. Edexcel. Yes, so the equation of the line is going to be y is equal to x. y is equal to x. Yes, well done. Y is equal to x. This is foundation, guys. Today we're doing foundation. Yesterday we were doing higher. Today is the foundation day. Okay? And don't forget to follow. Trying to hit our live goal. So let's move on to next question. Question number 12. Elena spent 120 minutes at a sports center. She played badminton for 50 minutes. She used the swimming pool for 1/6 of the 120 minutes. She used the gym for 20% of the 120 minutes. She then spent the rest of the 120 minutes in the cafe. Work out the total time in minutes that Elena spent in the cafe. So the first thing we have to do is that we have to work out how many minutes she spent in every single category. So first of all, she spent swimming 1/6 of 120 minutes. So we do 1/6 of 120 minutes. What is 1/6 of 120 minutes? So you would do 120 divided by 6. You would get 20. So she did 20 minutes of swimming. Okay, so we calculated that. We already know that she did 50 minutes of badminton. That's in the question already. 50 minutes of badminton, and then she used the gym for 20% of the 120 minutes. So what will be 20% of 120? 20% of 120 minutes. You know that 10% will be 10% will be 12. Then we know that 20% will be 24. That means she spent 24 minutes in the gym. 24 minutes in the gym. So now we calculated the time she took for every single thing. Now we'll just do 20 plus 50 plus 24. Do 50, 20, and 24. Add them together. You would get 94. She spent all of the time on 94. So now what we're going to do is we are going to do 120 subtracted by 94. 120 minus 94, you would get 26 minutes. That means she spent 26 minutes in the cafe. Okay? So, part B of the question is Elena got to the sports center at 1:30 p.m. She had asked her friend to meet her in the cafe at 3 p.m. Did Elena get to the cafe by 3 p.m.? So first of all, we already calculated it. We know that this was 94 minutes in total. She spent 94 minutes in the gym, the swimming, and the badminton. So we're going to do 1:30 p.m. and we're going to add 94 minutes to it. When we add 94 minutes to it, we know that 90 minutes is 1 hour and 30 minutes. We know that 90 minutes is equal to 1 hour and 30 minutes, right? So what we're going to do is that we know that 1:30 p.m. this will add up to, if we add 94 minutes to you know that it will add up to 3:04 p.m. This will add up to 3:04 p.m. She will arrive at 3:04. So we know that did Elena get to the cafe by 3 p.m.? She did not. Elena did not. Then we just write Elena did not. Okay? And that will be your answer. So, moving on to our next question. Question number 13. The composite bar chart shows information about the number of people living in a village. Write down the number of men living in the village in the year 2000. So we are looking in the year 2000. The year 2000 right there. So we're going to be looking at this bar chart. Okay, this one right there. The year 2000. So we know that the men is this black, the black shaded area. So we know that's going to be this part over here, this shaded part over here. So from here to there. And that is 60 because it's going in tenths. that is going to be 60. That means there's going to be 60 men living in 2000. Now, it says for part B, find the number of children living in the village in the year 2010. Find the number of children living in the village in the year 2010. So what we are going to do is that the number of children living in the village, we know that there are 210 people in total for this bar chart. There are 210 people in total, but we have to work out the number of children. The number of children are so we'll see that men and women in total is 160, right? Men and women and children. So we do minus 160, and then you'll get 50 children living in 2010. Okay, 50 children living in 2010. You could also have done it another way. You could have done just counting it like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. You'll still get 50. Okay. So for the people living in the village in the year 2020, find the ratio of the number of children to the number of total men and women. So what we are going to do is that we are going to first of all calculate how many children there are. So there are 280 people in total. 280 people in total. Now there are 80 children. There are 80 children. 80 children, meaning that there are going to be 200 men and women. 200 men and women. In total, 200. So we know that there's only going to be two numbers in that ratio because it's the number of children to the total number of men and women. So we know that it's going to be 80 to 200. 80 to 200. Okay? 80 to 200. The answer is going to be 80 to 200. So for this question, you don't have to simplify it because it doesn't tell you to simplify it. But if you do simplify it, you'll still get it correct, okay? So you don't need to simplify it, really. Give a thumbs up if you understand. So let's move on to our next question. Jenny drives from London to Swindon at an average speed of 54 miles per hour. She drives for 1.5 hours. Work out the total distance from London to Swindon that she made. So, this is foundation, guys. Foundation. Okay? So, first of all, you need to know our formula. We know the formula. Speed is equal to distance divided by time, right? That's our formula. That was our formula. Speed is equal to distance divided by time. But in this case, we're trying to find our distance. So we're going to rearrange this, and we're going to rearrange it to distance. Distance is equal to speed times time. Okay? Speed times time. I did the higher paper yesterday, guys, and the day before. I haven't done a foundation paper since long, so I was just doing it today for my foundation students. So yeah, and I'll probably do the higher paper tomorrow. Okay. So we know our formula distance is equal to speed times time. So we know that speed is 54. Our speed is 54. And the time taken was 1.5 hours. So we just write 1.5. That is basically 1.5 hours. And then you multiply them together and you get 81. 81. And that's going to be your total distance, 81 miles. Now, Alexi is using a map. The map has a scale of 1 to 25,000. On the map, a road has a length of 6 centimeters. Work out the total length in kilometers of the real road. So we know that's going to be 1 centimeter to 25,000. So we're going to do 6 times 25,000. 6 times 25,000, that is 150,000, but that is centimeters. That is 150,000 centimeters. Now, when you have to convert it into kilometers. So first, we're going to divide by 100 to get to meters. That'll be 1,500 meters, and then you divide by 1,000 now to get to kilometers, and that's when you get to 1.5 kilometers, and that's meters. So your answer is going to be 1.5. So let's move on to our next question. Find the coordinates of the midpoint of PQ. Find the coordinates of the midpoint of PQ. So, with this type of question, you have two methods. You have two methods when you're doing this. The first method is that you can literally just draw a line connecting them. Draw a line connecting them and find the midpoint. Find the midpoint. But we are not going to use that method because sometimes that is not accurate. But in this case, we're going to have a decimal answer. So I usually use the method, the calculation method with the numbers instead, because that is going to give you the proper answer. So first, we're going to calculate the coordinates of P. The coordinate of P is -3 to -2. P is -3 to -2. And then you know that Q is 2 to 4. Q is 2 to 4. Now, what we are going to do is that first of all, we're going to find the difference. So we're going to do -3 plus 2, -3 plus 2 divided by 2. -3 plus 2 is going to be -1, then divided by 2 is going to be -0.5. And then we're going to do -2 plus 4, that's going to be 2 divided by 1, that's going to give us 1. So your answer is -0.5 and then 1. So your method is to do -3 plus 2, then divided by 2 to give you -0.75, and then -2 plus 4, which is 2, and then divided by 2, which will give you 1. Okay? Why divided by 2? Because you're just trying to find the midpoint, and that's just the method. They probably tell you that's probably the method that you use in the school. So yeah, that's going to be your answer. So to find the midpoint, so we're going to do, add those two together, add the two x values, and then you divide by 2, and then you add the two y values, and then divide them by 2. Okay? And then you get -0.5 and 1. Yes, this is foundation, and this is Edexcel. So let's move on to question number 16. Here is a quadrilateral ABCD. All the measurements are in centimeters. The perimeter of ABCD is 52 centimeters. Work out the length of DC. We need to work out the length of DC, which is this length over here. This is actually foundation. I can show you guys this is foundation. If I move up, this is foundation. It's a past paper. Foundation, okay? So let's move back. So 16. I did the higher paper yesterday. Can we use golf maps in the higher exam? I don't think you're going to be allowed to use a device in your exam. That's what I'm going to say. So what we are going to do first of all is that we are going to know that we know the perimeter is we have to add all the shapes. Perimeter is adding all the sides together, okay? All the length of the sides together. So we're going to do 2x minus 5 and then plus x plus 1 plus x minus 1 and plus 2x, which is equal to 52 centimeters. Now we're just adding all the algebraic lengths together, okay? Now once we have done that, you will simplify all of this. Simplify the like terms, the x's and the numbers, and you'll end up with 6x minus 5, which is equal to 52. And then now you're going to find the value of our x. To find the value of x, we're going to add 5 on both sides. Then you get 6x is equal to 57. And then you would do divided by 6 on both sides. And then you will get x is equal to 57 over 6. Now I'm just going to leave it as a fraction and then simplify it, because you can't really do 57 divided by 6. You get decimal. So, and then to calculate the length of DC, that's our question. Calculate the length of DC. DC is this one over here, and DC is 2x. DC is 2x. So we're going to do 2 times our x value, which is times 19 by 2, 19 over 2, times by 19 over 2, that is going to be equal to 19. And that is going to be your answer. 19 centimeters is going to be your answer. Question. Let's move on to our next question. Question number 17. There are only blue counters, green counters, and red counters, and a yellow counter in a bag. The table shows the number of blue counters in the bag. There is a total of 100 counters in the bag. A Sheen takes at random a counter from the bag. Find the probability that the counter is not blue. Find the probability that the counter is not blue. So we knew that we have to find the probability. So we have to calculate how many counters there are that are not blue. So total number is 100 counters in the bag. We know that 30 are blue, so we're going to do 100 minus 30, and we find out that 70 of them are not blue. These are not blue, okay? They are not blue. So now what we are going to do is that we're going to put them as a probability. So it's going to be 70 over 100, which you can simplify it to 710, and that can be your probability, or you can write it as a decimal, which is going to be 0.7. This is non-calculator, guys. The ratio of the number of blue counters to the number of green counters is 2 to 3. Work out the number of green counters in the bag. So we know that it's going to be 2 to 3. The ratio is going to be 2 to 3. So we need to work out the number of green counters in the number of bags. So we're going to times by 15 on both sides. Times by 15 on both sides, we're going to get 30 to 40. And then you can get, actually that will be 45. And then get green counters is 45, okay? Now, how do I know if I have to times it by 15? You just need to do trial and error. And it's probably because that is the only reason we can get, because that's the only time you can get 30, because blue counts as 30, and we know that green, we have to times it by 15 to get to 30, okay? So that we know that green is going to be 45, okay? Guys, this is foundation, okay? I wrote it by accident on the thing, on the title, okay? It's foundation. Guys, if you already haven't followed, please follow. It's non-calculator. So, Bradley says the number of red counters in the bag is the same as the number of yellow counters in the bag. Can Bradley be correct? So first of all, we're going to do is that we're going to do 30 plus 45. That is the counters we already know. Do 30 plus 45. You're going to get 75, and then we're going to do 100 minus 75, which is 25. Bradley says that the number of red counters is just in the bag is the same as the number of yellow counters. Is that possible? No, it is not, because there's an odd number of counters left. Bradley is incorrect, as there's an odd number of counters. Let's move on to our next question, which is worth 5 marks. 5 marks. There are 240 cans of drink on a shelf. Each can contain cola or lemonade or orange. So the number of cans of cola to the number of cans of lemonade to the number of cans of orange is 5 to 3 to 2. A half of the cans of lemonade and a 12th of the cans of orange are removed from the shelf. Work out the number of cans of cola as a percentage of the total number of cans of drink remaining on the shelf. So the first thing we're going to do is that first of all, we're going to calculate each amount, the quantity of each drink, cans of each specific drink. So we have to calculate how many there are cola cans, how many lemonade cans there are, and how many orange cans there are. So we know that in the ratio, if we do 5 plus 3 plus 2, is a total of 10 parts. So we have to share this in the ratio. Set 240 in the ratio of 5 to 3 to 2. So we're going to do 240 divided by 10 to get 24 for each part. So we know that's going to be 120. It's going to be 120 to 72 to 48. So there are 120 cola cans. There are 72 lemonade cans. And there are 24 orange cans. Now, once we have done that, calculated that, it's 48. It's 20, not 24, it's 48. Now, once we have done that, what we're going to do is that we're going to see how many of the cans are removed. So we know that a half of the cans of lemonade are removed. So we are left with 36 lemonades left. Now we have 36 lemonades, but when the half is removed, and then we do 1/12 of the cans are removed. So 1/12 of 48 is 4. So we have 44 left of the orange. Okay. Now we're gonna write it. We're gonna cans remaining as a ratio. The cans remaining as a ratio is going to be 120 to 36 to 44, and it's from can to lemonade to orange. Now, as you can see, if we add them up, that is equal to 200 cans remaining. 200 cans remaining, okay? So now, for our final question, says to work out the number of cans of cola as a percentage of the total number of cans of drink remaining on the shelf. So drink remaining on the shelf, the total number of drinks remaining on the shelf is 200. So we're going to do 120 over 200, which is equal to 60 over 100, which is the same as 60%. And that will be your answer, 60%. So our next question, question number 19, write 500 as a product of powers of its prime factors. So whenever we have this type of question, you need to know the prime factor tree method. Give a thumbs up in the chat if you know what's the prime factor tree method when you're breaking down a number with the prime factor tree method. Give a thumbs up in the chat if you know that. Okay, that's a good thing. So how we do it is very, very simple. So what we need to do is that we need to, first of all, write our big number, which is 500 on the top, like that, 500. Now then we're going to do, at the bottom, then we're going to write, we're going to have two roots. Always, there are always two roots. What two numbers multiply each other to get to 500? What two numbers multiply each other to get to 500? So we have, let's do 2 and 2. Let's do 2. Okay, let's go with 10 and 50. That's what they said in the chat. So 10 and 50. So whatever number you choose, you will get the same answer. So we're going to do 10 and 50. And then now what we're going to do, we're going to break down this 10 first. So we're going to break it down to 10 and 5. Now since they are both prime numbers, we are going to just circle them, because now you can't go further with them. Their prime number is going to end that tree. Now we're going to continue with this 50. Now we can break down this 50 to 5 and 10. As you can see, we know that 5 is a prime number. We're going to circle it. And then we're going to continue with that 10. And we know that we can break down our 10 to 2 and 5. And then you can see that they are both prime numbers. So we're going to circle them up. And now we can write 500 as 2 times 2, then times 5, times 5, times 5. Now it says to work out, write 500 as a product of powers. So we're going to write it as powers. So it's just going to be 2 squared, because there's 2 lots of 2's. 2 squared times 5 to the power of 3. So I would write 2 squared times 5 to the power of 3. Okay? That was the easiest 3 marks. Easiest 3 marks. How would you do the lowest common multiple or the highest common factor? So the way you would do it is that we have a Venn diagram method as well. A Venn diagram method. So first of all, you would find out your prime factors, the prime factors of each of those two numbers, and then you put them in a Venn diagram. And there's a specific method that you would do. Okay, there's a specific method. That method is used for the big numbers. The big numbers. With the small numbers, you can do them in your head, but the big numbers you will need the Venn diagram. Okay. So let's move on to our next question, question number 20. So we are nearly at the end of the paper. We are reaching our end of the paper. We have like a few more questions. So double tap the screen and follow if we already haven't, and share this live for the last minute questions for this paper. So question number 20. Work out 1 holes and 3/5 plus 2 holes and a quarter. Give your answer as a mixed number. The first thing you would do is that you're going to convert both of them to an improper fraction. They are both mixed numbers, so it's going to be 1 and 3/5. We have to convert this into improper fraction. That's going to be 8 over 5. 8 over 5. And now you're going to convert 2 wholes and a quarter to improper fraction. That's going to be 9 over 4. Now, since we are adding them, we're going to add them. Whenever we're adding them, we have to make the denominator the same. Now, to make the common denominator, we're just going to make it 20. Okay? We'll make it to 20. So we're going to have to times this by 4. So we're going to times the numerator by 4 as well. That will be 32. And then we're going to times the bottom by 5. And then times the top, the numerator by 5 as well. And that will be 45 and 32. Let me quickly write that neater. That will be 32. Now what we're going to do, we're going to add them like you normally will. The denominator stays the same, which is 20. And then 32 plus 45, which is 77. And then 77 over 20, it says to give your answer as a mixed number. So your answer as a mixed number is going to be 3 wholes and 17 over 20. And that will be your answer. 3 wholes and 17 over 20. So part B is to show that 2 wholes and 2/3 divided by 6 is equal to 4 over 9. So first of all, before we even do anything, we're going to convert this mixed number into improper fraction because it's more easier to work with. Mixed numbers are always hard to work with. So whenever you see a mixed number, always convert it into an improper fraction or a top-heavy fraction, whatever you call it, and then you'll be good to go. So 2 wholes and 2/3, this will be 8 over 3. So we'll do 2 times 3, and then plus 2, that'll be 8 over 3. That is it with an improper fraction, as an improper fraction. Now what we're going to do, we know that we have to prove that it equals to 4 over 9. So we know that we're going to do 8 over 3 divided by 6. Now whenever we have this, I'm just going to convert the 6 into a fraction. 6 as a fraction is just 6 over 1. This is the same as saying 8 over 3 divided by 6 over 1. Now whenever we're dividing fraction, you always use this acronym KCF. KCF. You use this acronym. People remember it by KFC. I have no problem with that, but the correct method is KCF because it stands for keep the first part, change the sign, and then flip your last fraction. So we're going to do that. Keep this, change this to a multiplication sign, and flip this fraction over here. So now you're going to end up with 8 over 3 times it by 6. 1 over 6. So you flip the last fraction, that's going to be 1 over 6. And then that will be equal to 8 over 18 because you multiply fractions, you always multiply horizontally to the 8 times 1, which is 8, and 3 times 6, which is 18. And then you simplify this to 4 over 9. As you can see, we got the same answer that we were supposed to get, which was 4 over 9. So that's how you would do it. So let's move on to our next question. Question number 21. Simplify in brackets 2 to the power of -5 times 2 to the power 8, and in brackets to the power of 2. Give a thumbs up in the chat if you know the rule of indices. So what you do if you have indices that we multiply indices, dividing indices. Give a thumbs up in the chat if you know that. So whenever we're doing this, we're probably going to do everything inside the fraction, in the brackets first. So whenever we're multiplying numbers with the same base and we are multiplying indices with the same base, you add the indices together. You add the powers together. So you're going to do -5 plus the 8. So you're going to end up with 2 to the power of 3, and then that 2 outside that bracket. Now next, whenever you have 2 brackets together, one is inside of a bracket and one's outside of the brackets, you just multiply those 2 powers together. You multiply those 2 powers together, and then you get 2 to the power of 6, and that will be your answer as the power of 2. This is foundation, guys. So work out 0.04 times 0.32. So to work it out, so first thing I would do is that I would literally make both of them. I would just make this 4 times this by 123 times this by 1000 and times this one by 100, and then you'll get 4 times 32. So you just do 4 times 32, the normal column method. So you do 32 times 4, which is going to be 8, and then 12, 128. 4 times 32 is 128. And then since we multiply by 1000 and then multiply by 100, you're going to divide it. So you're going to divide it by 5. You're going to go 5 steps back because there's 5 zeros. So let's just do 128.0000. They're going to move it 5 steps back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 8 is going to go there. 2 go there. 1, 0, 0.0. So that's going to be your answer. 0.00128. You can also give your answer in standard form if you want. You still get the mark. So if you put 1.28 times 10 to the power of negative 3, you still get the mark. So either answer is correct. Either answer is correct. So let's move on to question number 23. A car factory is going to make 4 different car models, A, B, C, and D. 80 people are asked which of the 4 models they would be most likely to buy. The table shows information about their results. The factory is going to make 40,000 cars next year. Work out how many Model B cars the factory should make next year. So now we know that there's going to be 15 out of the 80 people that chose. Out of the 80 people that chose, that were surveyed, 15 people chose that car model B. So that's going to be 15 over 8 people chose 80 people, 15 over 80 people chose car model B. So what we're going to do is that we have to make our denominator 40,000. Make our denominator 40,000 somehow. How do you make it 40,000? So you times it by a number, and then you get 75,000. So you times it by 300. Let me quickly see what you multiply. Okay. Yes, you times by 500, guys. You times by 500. I just realized. You times by 500, and then you do the same to the top. Times by 500, and then they will make 7,500 cars. That means they will make 7,500 car model. It's 40,000. Yes, they will make 7,500 car model B cars. Okay, model B cars out of those 40,000. So, question number 24. We're about to get to the end. We only have about 2 or 3 questions left. So Rizwan writes down 3 numbers A, B, and C. A to the ratio B is equal to 1 to 3. B to C is 65. Find A to B to C. So we have got A to the ratio B, which is equal to 1 to the ratio 3. And then B to C is equal to 65. So what we have to do, we have B in common in both of those ratios. So we have to make B the same in both of the ratios. So we have 3 over here. So we're going to make the ratio 2 to 6 to 65. Multiply this ratio by 3. And then you're going to write it together to 2 to 6 to 5. Okay? So answer going to be 2 to 65. That will be your answer. Now, express A as a fraction of the total numbers A, B to C. Express A as a fraction of the total of the total of the three numbers A, B, and C. So why did I times by 2 over here is because I had to make the b's common. I had to make the b's common in both of the ratios, okay? We had to make the b's common in both of the ratios. The b over here is 3 and over 6. To make the b's common, we're going to have to multiply by 2. So that's going to turn to 2 to 6 and 65. And that's how you get 2 to 65. So to express A as a fraction of the total of three numbers A to B to C, first of all, we're going to do 2 plus 6 plus 5. And that will be 13. Total 13. Now, we know that A is 2, right? Total number of A's is 2. So then we're going to get 2 over 13, and that is going to be our answer, 2 over 13. There's 2 A's out of 13. So, Emma writes down three numbers, M, N, and P. So, N is equal to 2M, M, N, P. N is equal to 2M, P is equal to 5N. Find M to P, the ratio M to P. So, we know that it's going to be, first of all, we know that if M is equal to 1, then N is equal to 2. So, I'm going to write over here. If M is equal to 1, then we know that N is equal to 2, right? Then if N is equal to 1, we know that P is equal to 5. That is what that we're just writing that down. If, okay, so if M is equal to 1, N is equal to 2, then if N is equal to 1, P is equal to 5. We're doing it with these equations right there. So now we know that the ratio to N to M, the ratio to N to M is 2 to 1. As you can see, it's 2 to 1. And then the ratio P to N is 5 to 1, right? It's 5 to 1. Now, as you can see, we have the same thing like we did in this previous question. We have N common in both of our ratios. We have N common here and N common right here. So we have N, we have to make them common, right? This one is 2, over here is 2, and then this one here over here is 1. It's going to be 2 to 1. That's going to stay the same. That's going to stay the same. And then we're going to multiply this one by 2. And we're going to end up with 2 to 10. Okay? This will stay the same. And here, if you times it by 2, I only get 10 to 2. And then we're going to write then we have to write it M to P, M to P, M to P is 1 to 10. 1 to 10, and that is going to be your ratio, 1 to 10. Okay? We're going to find M to P. M to P is 1 to 10. Moving on to question number 25. A storage tank exerts a force of 10,000 newtons on the ground. The base of the tank in contact with the ground is a 4 meter by 2 meter rectangle. Work out the pressure on the ground due to the tank. So we are given our formula. Our formula is pressure is equal to force divided by the area. We already know how we need to work out the pressure. So first thing we're going to do we're going to work out the area of our rectangle. To work out the area is equal to 4 times it by 2. You're going to get 8 meters squared. That is going to be our area. We know the force is 10,000 newtons. So we're going to do 10,000 divided by 8. That is going to be 5,000 divided by 4, which is going to be equal to 1,250. That is going to be that's going to be 1,250, guys. 1,250. If you don't know how to do it, you can use the bus stop method. Like that. 4 goes into 5 once. Remainder, 1, 2, 5, and then 0. Like that. Okay. So finally, our last page of our paper. Total marks 18. Always 18. So, I feel like the last page is a bit easier than normal. It's a bit easier than usual. Yeah. So, we need to solve 5x over 2 plus 3, which is greater than 18. So whenever we're solving inequalities, you need to remember that you have to treat this inequality sign right here, this inequality sign over here, as an equal sign. You basically do everything the same, but at the end you just leave it like the final stage. Leave it at the final stage. The first thing you would do is that you subtract 3 from both sides because you want to make x alone, and then you get 5x over 2, which is greater than 15. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to times by 2 on both sides to get rid of our denominator of 2, and then you're going to get 5x, which is greater than 30. And then lastly, to get x on its own, divide by 5 on both sides. You're going to get x, which is greater than 6. And then you're going to leave your answer like that, x, which is greater than 6. Okay, so lastly, factorize x squared plus 10x plus 9. This question over here, since this is a quadratic, we have a square. We have a squared over here. We know it is going to be double brackets. First of all, we know that it's going to be double brackets like usual, and then we know that x is going to be here and x is going to be here. To work out our two numbers which go over here, what we're going to do is that we need to find two numbers that multiply to get to 9, but add to get to 10. Two numbers multiply to get to 9, add to get to 10. So the numbers that multiply to get to 9 are 1 and 9, and 3 and 3. So two numbers that match the category that add to 10 is 1 and 9. And that's going to be plus 1 and plus 9. And that will be your answer. X plus 1 and x plus 9. Okay? X plus 1, x plus 9. Thank you for the gifts. So that was our last question, guys. So we completed our paper in an hour, actually. So in an hour we completed a paper. And this is supposed to be completed in 1 hour and 30 minutes. Hello, my GCSE maths. We're actually getting to the end of our session. Actually, we just completed our paper. So yeah. So I hope you guys enjoy this live. Oh, my lives are every single day. I do live every single day. What times do I usually start? So I usually start at 9 or 8. 8 or 9 o'clock. When's my next foundation live? It's probably going to be on Thursday. So this paper, let me quickly check. This paper, I think, this was 2022. 2022 paper 1. Okay. So to get access to all past papers, there's a free website you can get. So just head to Math Genie, then you can get all the past papers there. So if you go to GCSE papers and then you click the exam board, so I did Edexcel, click there, and then you get all the foundation papers, all the higher papers, and then you even get like the very, very old papers as well. You can go to 2009, the old papers. When do you know if you have to switch the signs? So for this question, you only switch the signs if there's a negative, okay? Whenever there's a negative, that's the only time you would switch. You would like switch the sign to the opposite way, okay? This this specific question came on the first. This was the first question. This was like the second question on the higher paper of the year, okay? This was like the second question on the higher paper, but this is the last question on this foundation paper, so you can see the big difference. So I hope you enjoy this live, guys.